Hello, everybody. This is Flora Beal, your Public Affairs Administrator at Miami-Dade County Animal Services, and I have the pleasure of having a very close friend of mine and colleague and coworker and somebody that I'm really, really proud of because she has really stepped up at Animal Services. She's been with us for a long time now. What, 6 years?
5.5.
6 years.
Almost.
I said 6 years. I said 6 years, right? And she started off actually in kennel, right?
No, in enforcement.
In enforcement, where she did a lot of like the investigations, dog bite investigations, et cetera. Moved up the ranks, all that fun stuff. Moved up the ranks, and we saw her as a superstar employee, and we said, you know what? Let's move her into our communications team. We think that she'd do a great job there, and the experience has definitely come in handy. And she's doing amazing. So please welcome Gabriella Dominguez. We call her Gabby. So
yes,
Gabby.
Please call me Gabby, everybody.
Call me Gabby. Everybody
it's so much easier. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And so there's actually a lot of initiatives that Miami-Dade County Animal Services has right now, a lot of programs that are going on. So what do we want to start with? Maybe let's go back to what we started in November, which was the Presents for Pets.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about Presents for Pets and what that entails and what we're asking of the community.
Right. So Presents for Pets, it's a yearly donation drive that we do in collaboration with Miami-Dade Public Library Systems. Mm-hmm. So this is our third annual year of doing this. And what we do is basically set up bins at local libraries across the county.
So they'll see the signs that are up on the screen that say Presents for Pets donation drive.
Right. And so the community can check our website to check all the libraries that are participating. It's several libraries throughout the county. So you can go to your nearest library and donate a present for pets, for the shelter pets, because, you know, it's the holiday season and I'm sure everybody's scrambling now, especially this last weekend, trying to find everybody presents. But it would be really helpful if you can pick up a present for one of our shelter pets, even if it's something as simple as a little chew bone or a toy, or if you want to go a little bit bigger and get them a nice bed for them to be able to spend the nice holiday season in our shelter, but at least they would be comfortable while doing so. In a bed, in a nice soft bed. If it can't be your bed, at least get them a bed.
Hey, I like that. And so, but there's specific types of beds that we're looking for, right? So where can they go or how can they find exactly the types of toys, the types of bed, the types of blankets specifically that we're looking for that are good for use in a shelter environment?
Right. So if you go on our website, obviously miamidade.gov/animals, we have a page specifically dedicated to donations where we have an Amazon wish list. So you can even just purchase it through Amazon and send it directly to the shelter. You don't even have to drop by.
So you don't even have to go to the crowded malls and the
Exactly. I'm an online shopper. I hate going to the malls. I hate the crowded lines. So I would definitely just go online and it will ship directly to the shelter. And the types of beds that we use are elevated cots. And the reason that we use these beds, I'm sure people see them and they're like, that doesn't look very comfy. But they are actually pretty comfy. And the dogs
like
love
being
them.
on a hammock.
Pretty much, yeah. Exactly. And the reason that we use these is because they're very easy to sanitize. Unlike the fluffy, soft, orthopedic beds that people love to give us, they're great, obviously, especially for senior dogs, but they're really difficult to clean, and we sanitize our shelter daily. So putting these cots up while they're sanitizing the room, they just wash them down and they dry super quickly. You just grab a towel and wipe them off and they're good to go. So that's why we specifically ask for these type of elevated cot beds. They're a little bit pricier, but they're what our shelter pets need.
Right, and they're also sturdier.
Yes.
So like you might be able to find cot beds that are less expensive, but
right.
They tend to break within like,
oh yeah,
I've seen them break like less than 5 minutes in.
Oh, the dogs love to just...
They put them in there, the dog steps on it, and the next thing
you know... Or they do the digging.
They do the digging on it, and the next thing you know, the bed thing is like it's ripped.
It's just a big hole, and then they just...
Lasted 5 minutes. So the one that we ask for, it is a little bit pricier. Maybe if you get together with a couple of people and pitch in and buy one. And then there are less expensive items too,
of course, like
bottles for the neonates and little
toy, anything.
Toys, collars that are like $15.
Right, collars and leashes we go
all
through
the time. We go
all
through
the
them
time
so quickly, guys. So if you want to give a small gift to the shelter for use for any of our 800 plus dogs and almost 100 plus cats that we have. Please do look on our donations page on our website. Look at that Amazon wish list, and it'll give you all of the details.
I did want to add that this campaign, Presents for Pets, people mostly will think that it's just during the holidays, but it's actually through January 31st that we're hosting this
Very
Presents for
interesting.
Pets.
Yeah, so even when you were going back to return the stuff that you didn't need, that you don't want, that
you could
you
still
want to
find
exchange,
something.
you could still exchange it for something that would be good for the pets.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool.
And don't forget
that
your
we're
own
doing that.
pets. Make sure you get your own pets gifts too. I get
I
my
always
pets.
put a present.
I get my pets gifts, but that's just me.
I'm just silly like that. But we also, I think that you mentioned there at the libraries, but there's other locations as well that they can drop off, like the government center downtown at 111. I think it's
Northwest First Street. It's the 111
Really
building.
Yeah, it's the 111 building. Or you can stop off at the shelter and you can donate the presents.
As long as it's during our operating hours. We're open Monday through Friday from 10 to 6:30, and on the weekends 10 to 4. We are closed on Christmas Day and New Year's Day. Very important.
Very important. So, and of course, adoption services, clinic services, all
everything
open, except for those two.
Except on those 2 days,
county
they will
observed
be,
holidays.
Absolutely.
Okay. So that's our Presents for Pets campaign.
Mm-hmm.
I know that we've also, we were really fortunate. We had Mayor Levine Cava come by the shelter.
Oh, yeah.
I saw the videos. I wasn't there, unfortunately. I didn't get a chance to. I was out of the country. But I saw that you guys had like an amazing event. Tell us a little bit about the event, what that was, and why we had it.
So to start with, I do want to thank the mayor, Miss Levine Cava, for taking time out of her busy schedule to stop by and participate in this event. It was a wonderful, wonderful day of action that she hosted. She brought her team. We had Santa. We had a volunteer Santa from our shelter. So shout out to our Santa at the shelter if you're watching. But it was a really fun event. And the mayor actually did the first adoption of the day, which was the cutest little video. We went live. It's posted on our page. But we went live, and she was actually, I guess, making this little girl's Christmas wish come true by giving her a little kitten, because that's what she really wanted. So her and Santa were able to do the pass off and get this kitten into its forever home. And it was just very, very sweet. Like we said, the team was there. I was there. We kind of all dressed up. We got really into the spirit, walking around, trying to interact with the customers, and just try to find as many homes as possible for that day. I mean, she was there for a short amount of time, but she's a busy lady. She had to go to another one of our events that same day.
There you go.
So she is a busy lady, but we appreciated her stopping by and just bringing some cheer to our holiday pets and getting some.
And really, it was her initiative. Like, it was her.
Yes.
She proposed that we do a day of a call to action, right?
Mm-hmm.
A day of action. And she wanted to do it at the shelter to help alleviate the overpopulation crisis.
Right.
And to help encourage the community to adopt, because there's a lot of different ways that we can kind of tackle the challenge of overpopulation. But the most immediate way to resolve the issue is to find loving homes for the pets that we have at the shelter, right?
Right.
So really important to mention that. And so that's part of our Home for the Holidays campaign. So she did want to do it kind of like as a
kickoff almost
like a kickoff, but just a showcase and to kind of spotlight the Home for the Holidays campaign and encourage the community to come out and adopt. You can see the beautiful artwork, graphics that we have for the campaign. And important to note that all adoption fees are being waived through
December 31st.
So what comes with those adoption fees? Like, what's included?
So when you adopt from our shelter, you get a dog or a cat that it will be already sterilized. So that's huge, because you know that getting surgery for a pet is very, very expensive. Even
like
just
$300, $400
minimum.
I mean, between the anesthesia, the actual medical,
the take-home meds, even the cone. They charge you for the cone.
$30
the cone of shame. But you're getting a pet that's already sterilized. You're getting a pet that's microchipped, and you're getting a pet that has its full set of age-appropriate vaccines. Right. Obviously, if you're getting a puppy, they may still be too young
to get their rabies shot and other
to get their rabies,
vaccines,
but You're getting all this for $30 for dogs, because you still have to be responsible to pay for the county tag.
Right.
And cats over 4 months of age are completely free. So you basically get to take home a cat for free because you don't need to get their license for that. And kittens and puppies. Kittens are $35, I believe, and puppies are $85. So it's a really good deal, especially now because I know a lot of people look to add pets to their family during the holiday season. And oftentimes what people do is go to a puppy store. You're not going to get all that at a puppy store. You're lucky if you get a microchip, and it'll probably be over $1,000.
Especially if you're getting one of the purebred.
Exactly. So there's never a need to do that when we have so many wonderful pets waiting for forever homes at the shelter. And we get puppies. People just think that we don't get puppies. They just go really quickly because that's what everybody wants.
But there's a lot of benefits to adopting an adult dog as well.
I push for adult dogs, for senior dogs specifically, all the time. Our seniors spent the longest amount of time at our shelter, but they are really, truly the best pets. They're always the most well-behaved pets. They're potty trained. They usually know all the commands, and they just want to chill.
Yeah, they're like couch potatoes.
They just want to chill. They just want a comfortable place to live out the rest of their years, and
all they want is love.
Exactly. A puppy is so much work. Like I'm obviously young, but I wouldn't even take on that responsibility of a puppy because it's just too much work. So I don't even.
You know, I love puppies, but I'm like,
it's just
have an addiction, guys.
It's just a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
Not everybody can dedicate the time that it needs to train a puppy. Even feeding it, you have to feed a puppy more frequently than you have to an adult dog. So somebody working an 8-hour shift, between the time it takes you to go to and from work, you're already spending about 10, maybe 12 hours away from your home. That's a long time for a puppy to be by itself. So it's just not fair to the puppy either to be locked in a crate or in a room all day while you're at work.
Right, and then that also inhibits the potty training and how quickly they actually
and then just actual training too, like socializing the pet, actual. Behavior training as far as just basic commands, sit down, stay, something, obedience training that every dog should have. Most of these senior dogs already have all that.
Yeah.
So it's a big push that I like to do towards adult and senior dogs.
Yeah. So remember, guys, if you're looking for a new addition to the family, think about maybe getting an adult dog instead of a puppy, because there's a lot of benefits to it. Yeah. There's a lot of benefits to it.
Less work, I will
home
say
for
that.
the holidays. Adoption fees are waived through December 31st. So just reminding everybody of that. And we have more than 800, more than 900 pets in total between cats and dogs that are still waiting at the shelter looking for their forever home. So please, if you're thinking about it this holiday season, go ahead and do that. Now, responsible dog ownership, and what are the things that people should think about? What's the process that you should, where should you start when you're,
I was just about to touch on
right?
that. Yeah.
Where are you going to start when you're sitting there saying, I think my family needs a new 4-legged member?
Exactly. So when you say that, the key word, my family, right? So you definitely want to keep your family in the loop. As cute as it would be to surprise, maybe your child with a new pet, make sure that everybody else in the household, at least the adults that will be taking care of the pet, because, you say you're getting a pet for your child, and most of the time you will be taking care of it, right?
Right.
So it's very important that every adult in the household, at least, will be on board with getting the new pet. While the idea is cute to surprise a family member, the typical put the little puppy or the dog in a little box in a bow, bring them out on Christmas Day. Very, very cute surprise, but that high of the surprise will go down fairly quickly
when they start picking up the poop.
Exactly. When you realize how much work the puppy is. So it's tempting to do it, but it's very important that potential adopters or new pet parents take all those things into consideration when bringing them home, because this pet will be around everybody in the household. So everybody in the household needs to be on board, and you need to. I like to give the example of, let's say, we're in Miami. A lot of Hispanic households live with everybody, mom, dad, grandparents, in-laws, and everything. The parents...
Three generations of family.
Three generations of family, yes. So parents want to get a dog for their kids, but they're not realizing that their parents are...
Grandpa and grandma.
Grandma and grandpa are in a walker or need a cane for assistance. Some dogs are afraid of that. And they haven't been exposed to that. So you bring this pet home and then they see that.
Some dogs are completely ambivalent to the fact that somebody's walking around with a cane.
Exactly. So they see this and then they freak out, and then they're like, well, I can't have this dog anymore. And then what do? Bring the dog to us, which is super detrimental. Yes, we got a dog out, we got it adopted, but then that dog gets returned because not everybody was
The
on
family
board.
Was on board, yeah.
Right. And now you have this dog that the grandparents didn't come to the adoption process, so we weren't able to see if this dog would have been a right fit to that condition in the home. You understand? So just make sure everybody's on board. Make sure everybody shares the responsibility, because they are a lot of work. Pets are a lot of work. And for one person, they may be able to take on it, but it does help to spread the task. Maybe even give them like chores to your kid, make sure.
So I was going to say, like I remember Maria Fernanda from, she's an anchor.
Yes.
On the news, and she came by. Her daughter had been begging her for years, like, we want her daughters, because she's got two of them, Marifer. And she was like, no, that they were negotiating with the parents, and the parents sat there and said, okay, but you got to walk them, and you got to clean, and you got to this, and
you got to bathe it, you got to
bathe it, and da-da. And they started like a list of the chores, and they divvied them up, and they would rotate the chores and everything. And they're like, okay, so this is how this is going to work. And when they finally got their puppy, let me tell you, their puppy is the cutest little thing. And the girls take care of the puppy, because that was the agreement that they came to with Santa and Mom and Pop. It was great. And they actually came together to select the pet, to do the meet and greet.
Because that's how it should be done.
Yeah, that's how it should be done. And the girls together with Dad, and they actually had to work on Dad for a couple of months.
I'm sure they did
before he agreed.
It's usually one of the parents that
one of the parents that's sitting there saying, "I'm not going to do this."
because they know that they will probably likely end up with the responsibility, and then
but that's part of kind of like the process of raising your kids too, is to hold them accountable for the agreements that they make in your home.
Of course.
And pets are amazing for teaching your kids responsibility and accountability.
And even like compassion and like other things.
Empathy.
Like they learn all these things through having a pet.
Absolutely. So that's a great thing. So we've talked about presents for pets, home for the holidays, and we kind of want to talk, speaking of responsible pet ownership, about some safety tips for the holidays. We've got Christmas coming up, right? It's right around the corner. Yes. And then right after that, we've got New Year's coming up. Mm-hmm. And what many of our community may not know is that we tend to see a lot of pets coming through the shelters nationally. I mean, this is not, exclusive to
intake.
It's an intake. So what we call intake, when we start receiving pets into the shelters, they start arriving. And there's always kind of like an increase in the number of pets that arrive at shelters across the country right around the holidays. Mm-hmm. Why is that? And how do we prevent that from happening? Because, hey, we're over capacity. So it's not like we've got space for all these additional pets. So A, why does it happen? B, how can we prevent it? And C, what can the community do to help? Go for it.
So New Year's and Independence Day are usually the two holidays where we see an increase in the amount of pets that come in. Mm-hmm. And that has to do a lot with like the festivities, fireworks, people coming in and out of the house, things like that, tend to overwhelm and stress a lot of pets. A lot of dogs are terrified of fireworks. My dogs are. They're terrified of fireworks. So people, I guess, in the midst of being in party mode, they don't realize, they don't really take their pets into consideration when they're planning these parties. One of the best things you can do is give a safe space for your pet inside your household where they are secured and comfortable. Maybe play some music. I always recommend crate training. Crate training is wonderful. It's like giving your pet its own room without having to give them a dedicated room. Especially if you don't have that extra room for a pet. So making sure that the pet is in an area where it feels safe and it feels comfortable, maybe even playing some like low, soft music or ambient sounds helps soothe them a little bit. I recommend anti-anxiety medication. You can buy it over the counter at places like PetSmart, Petco, I think even Walmart, Target may sell those things. Mm-hmm. So it's good to get those things. And then the most important thing is making sure that even if you do have a designated area to keep your pet secured, make sure your pet is always wearing its ID. If you have a microchip, make sure it's up to date, because if your pet does get out, that is your pet's best way of finding its way back to you.
Right.
So as you mentioned that I was formerly in enforcement, mm-hmm. I had many calls on those two holidays where we were picking up a stray dog.
Wait a second. Is this the first Christmas that you're going to be off in like years?
Oh, yes.
Congratulations.
Yes. If it didn't fall on my day off, Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm very, very excited that I'm going to have Christmas and New Year's off, and I'll make sure my pets are safe with me at home because that's all I want to do. Just chill and be at home and not be out on the roads.
So you would be out,
And we would get-
see a pet, or you'd get a call for a stray pet that was injured.
We would get
or whatever.
often, I think people, I guess, because they're like, oh, nothing's open. They'll call the police. Police is always working. So police would call us like, hey, there's a dog somebody just found in their neighborhood. They just put it in their yard. Go over there. If the pet had a microchip, get the info from the microchip and bring the pet back to the family.
Without even having to go back to the shelter.
Yes, and that was always my favorite because it was like, okay, I go out to the call and now I don't have to drive all the way back to the shelter to bring this dog. I can just stay within that neighborhood and find the dog back home or call the owner, hey, can you meet us over here? Your dog got out and it's over here now.
Right.
And of course, they're like, oh my God, yes, he got out. The fireworks, the people coming in and out of the house. All that happens. And we get it. It's part of the holiday season, but you just want to make sure that your pet is obviously safe because a lot of times too, which is kind of sad to talk about, a lot of times I would get the calls like, oh, the animal's injured. It got hit by a car.
Right. Yeah. And you don't want that to happen to your
You
pet,
don't,
so.
especially like the smaller the dog. I mean, not that I haven't seen big dogs, unfortunately, pass away from getting hit by cars, but the smaller dogs are less likely to survive
Right.
an accident like that. So you never, never, never want your pet to be in a situation like that. So it's always important to keep them safe. Check your perimeter in your property. If you have a fence, make sure there's no way to escape because dogs and cats are very creative on how they can get out of a place. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. They'll squeeze through some very narrow spots.
Oh, you'd be surprised of how high a dog can jump sometimes.
Or
I've
just
seen
the
dogs,
force that
like,
they have that they
go
can just
over
jump. Or, I mean, not jump, but like hit a
8-foot
fence.
fences. Like just
Yeah, you have no idea the power that some dogs or cats can have. So it's very important to check all those things. And like I said, if you're going to have guests coming over, put them away in a secure area wherever you can. Hopefully it's a crate. And then just make your guest aware not to go into a certain room. Because another thing you want to prevent is maybe your dog isn't a runner, but your dog is fearful, and fearful can turn into aggression, and your dog can end up biting somebody. You also don't want that problem because that's a big problem, which turns into a very expensive problem if you get sued. And if they decide to open a dangerous dog investigation, which I've formally done, the ticket is $1,000 for your dog biting somebody. So it's a very expensive mistake.
Yeah.
Is what I would call it.
Accident. Yeah.
Accident.
It could
Yeah.
be really
Because it could be prevented. You want to make sure that, whoever's coming over, hey, I have a pet. Please don't go into that room. He's in this room. Leave it alone.
Or lock it.
Or lock it if you can, whatever it is that you can. But you just want to make sure that your pets are safe. Well, I know it's sometimes the last thing on people's mind. People are thinking, I need to get the food, I need to get the chairs, I need to get the table, I need to get the lights, whatever the case is.
And they're not thinking about where's my pet.
The last thing they're thinking of is often their pets, which should be honestly the first thing that they think of.
Yeah. So interesting. You mentioned getting the food. So I know that especially during the holidays, you want to give them a treat, something special.
Yep.
You want to give them, just like a special snack, a special meal.
Right.
But we forget that sometimes the things that we're having on our plate may not necessarily be okay for them to eat. So what are some of the things that dog owners should be aware of that they need to stay away from?
So number one thing, I think a lot of people know this, but chocolate is very, very, very bad for dogs. It could be fatal if they ingest enough of it.
So that chocolate cake that's on top of the table that you let your dog...
That's another thing, yeah. If you have food on top of the table and your dog is food obsessed, please put your dog away. I know my dog, she's not very big, but she will find a way to get something off the counter or the kitchen table. So
Nova?
yes. Yes, that girl is sneaky. And if she can't get to it, she'll just eat the cat food.
Oh, my God.
Exactly.
Yeah, so we do have to be careful. Know
Right.
your dog.
Know your dog. Don't leave that food out. Again, it could be something that is safe for them, but you still don't want them to get into something that they can't into. But chocolate is definitely one of them. Bones, big no.
So like chicken bones.
Yeah, and
turkey
I think
bones.
people have this like conception that dogs can have bones, especially
Yeah.
because they, you can buy a bone technically at these, pet stores.
But it's a different type of bone.
But it's a different type of bone. Like, dogs have extremely powerful jaws and they can just crack a bone. And if they swallow it, they can actually pierce their
organs.
Their
They have
organs.
stomachs,
And that's if they survive.
Right.
You can try to get them to a vet and get,
very expensive mistake.
again, a very expensive surgery.
Yeah.
And it's possible that they may not even survive. So you definitely want to avoid that. Candy is another one. Chives, apparently. I didn't even know chives were bad for dogs. Citrus and pits, like avocado pits.
Yes, I've heard of that.
Very dangerous because they can choke on it and it causes a blockage. It's obviously the pit of an avocado is fairly large.
And slippery.
And slippery. Coffee is another one. Apparently, raw or undercooked eggs are not good for them either. Fish, raw or undercooked, is also not good. Garlic, I knew about. Garlic's not good. Grapes and raisins, which you mentioned, that can cause kidney problems. So it's not good for them to eat it either.
So the fruitcake that you didn't want because you don't like fruitcake, don't give it to the dogs. There's another thing. There's a chemical in many baked goods that is actually can be lethal.
Are you talking about xylitol?
Yes,
I know, you know your...
I know my xylitol.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's something else. What else do they need to look out for?
Nuts. Doesn't specify nuts, but
I've heard like macadamia nuts can actually make them dizzy,
I know peanut
nauseous.
butter is good for them.
Yeah,
especially
but there's certain nuts.
But certain, like, I mean, I don't think you can just give them a whole bunch of peanuts. I don't think that's good. But peanut butter they usually like, and as long as it doesn't have that sweetener xylitol, then it's fine. Onions and onion flakes and powder, salt, and the number one thing that they shouldn't be getting into is the trash.
Okay.
The trash, because that's where you throw away everything that you just talked about.
that we just talked about that we don't want them to get into.
The trash. I know some dogs love digging through trash. So just make sure that wherever your trash is, exactly. That's exactly who I thought of. Wherever your trash, just make sure you keep it covered. Or if it's inside a cabinet, make sure the cabinet is closed.
I actually had to move my trash and put up a kid gate to block.
There you go.
The
Make it.
room
You know how
so
you baby-proof a house. You kind of have to do the same thing for pets. Yeah, pet-proof a house.
You absolutely do.
And another thing, I know I'm mentioning like foods that they can't get into, but I know everybody has a Christmas tree up right now. Be careful with your Christmas tree. It could be dangerous for your pet too.
And fireworks.
And the fireworks while you're doing your fireworks.
After you do your fireworks, during the fireworks, after, because like some of the stuff that's
the powder, whatever they make it with,
it's bad for them. So you don't want them to get into that. Okay, so those are some of the things for the holidays
Christmas lights
and everything.
is another
Christmas
one.
lights.
I know everybody likes to decorate in and outside of their home. If you have a fenced yard, I'm sure you're letting your pet out to do its business. Make sure your pet doesn't go and chew on the lights. It could not only damage your lights, but it could seriously injure your pet as well. I don't know how many people are doing fires here in Miami, but fire starter logs are apparently bad for them. And candles, especially with cats. My cats love to get on the counter where I burn my candles. And I'm always like on high alert, like, please don't pass your tail over. You're going to start a fire. You're going to knock it over.
Yep.
And there's obviously certain plants that they should stay away from.
Oh, yes. That's a good one.
Which include ivy, holly, the mistletoe, and forgive me if I say this wrong, but poinsettias or
poinsettias, yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, those are the things that you should keep away from your pets.
So we talked about all these things to keep them away. What's the one thing that people can do to make sure that they can help? How can they help during this time? If they find a lost pet, what do they do?
So a pet's best way home is to stay near the area where the pet was found, because a lot of people, they see a dog and they automatically think it's a stray dog. Not necessarily, especially if the dog's in good physical condition. It's very likely that dog just escaped or was left out.
And the family is either unaware or desperately looking for them around the neighborhood, right?
Exactly. The family could be blissfully unaware, having their parties or whatever's going on, or they are freaking out trying to figure out where their pet is.
Yeah. So quickly, what should they do when they find a pet?
First things first, try to see someplace if you can scan it for a microchip.
Usually a
veterinary office, and even some local police stations, I've heard. Like Miami Springs, I know, has their own scanner.
Right.
So check with your police station to see if they have a microchip scanner where they can scan it. And then if anything, you can call the chip company and look up the information to the owner, or they'll get in contact with the owner. The other thing that you can do is walk around the neighborhood. Like I said, somebody may be just driving around looking for their pet, trying to go outside of just your block, but walk around.
They're usually found like within
a mile away from their home. So you may have to take a little walk around your neighborhood, a little stroll.
Don't be afraid to knock on some doors and say, hey, do you know where this
especially
pet
if you know where, like, if you know I know the houses in my neighborhood that have pets. So I'll go to those houses like, hey, do you know where this dog belongs? Yeah. Things like that. If you can't find, if you can't locate the owner or where the pet lives, please keep it with you, because we just have absolutely no space. If you can contain it safely in your home, in your yard or something.
We'll actually help you. So we'll give you the harness, the leash,
we'll give you
the crate, the food, the bowls.
We'll try to give you whatever supplies we can for you to try and keep this pet. And then what you can do is post flyers, post them on websites like Petco Love Lost, I believe it's called.
Petco Love Lost, Paw Boost.
Home to Home, Next Door, and even Neighbors. I know that's very popular in communities nowadays, because everybody
Facebook
has security
Instagram,
cameras.
Everybody puts up flyers.
Just sharing it could easily find their home.
Yeah. So help us help them.
Exactly. And help us with not bringing more pets to the already overcrowded shelter.
Absolutely. All right, guys. So that's our time for today. Thanks so much, Gabby, for coming in. It was a pleasure having you here. So great to talk to the community about all these programs that we've got going on, the campaigns, and really just about how they can help us with the overpopulation, how they can protect their pets during the holidays, and what to do when they find a lost pet. So I hope that you learned something today. We will be back in 2 weeks with some more interesting news and information for you about our four-legged friends in our community, or for our four-legged friends and their owners in our community. We'll see you then, and we're out. Have a great holiday time.